Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Doctors of Running podcast, where we, a group of doctors of physical therapy, discuss the art and science of running and the stuff that we put on our feet. It is an exciting day today at the round table because we have four of us here. We have the founder, Dr. Matthew Klein. We have Dr. Andrea Myers, Dr. David Salas, and myself. I'm Nathan Brown, and we are all coming together in mid-June. That's when we're recording this episode because we wanted to talk about what are our top picks of shoes for the beginning half of 2025. So we always have fun kind of looking back at all the shoes that we've tested thus far and which have really risen to the top. So we love being able to go through this, and we try to make sure that we can schedule a time for all of us to be together to hopefully give the broadest perspective of our entire team, knowing that not everyone is going to think one shoe is the best shoe for anything in particular. So when we get to that portion of the podcast, we are going to be doing this as a building our perfect running shoe rotation. And so we're going to be each picking a shoe from the daily training category, the long run category, the performance shoe or workout shoe category, and then our top racer. And all of these from the beginning of 2025. Or we have a little caveat. Sometimes they dip into the end of 2020. Did I say 2024? Anyway, end of 2024, we dip into as well. And that's because sometimes there are shoes that did not get opportunities to be recognized for the end of year awards last year. So end of 2024, first half of 2025, that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we do that, we also wanted to briefly talk about a sponsor that's been with us over this past year. And we just wanted to, again, thank them for being a part of kind of fueling this podcast, allowing it to move forward. And that's Skratch Labs. If you remember when we first started doing the sponsorship in connection with Skratch, we thought it was really important that we didn't just pick a company that was going to kind of work with us on this stuff because we could get something for it. But we wanted to make sure that they really aligned with what our team thinks and utilized before we even had a sponsorship. So Skratch has been a company that all of us have enjoyed utilizing in the past. And so it just felt like such a natural partnership that we felt like we could authentically move forward with. So as a thank you, I want us all to just share what is our favorite product that we've been using from Skratch over this past year. Andrew, do you want to kick us off?
Definitely. I've been using Skratch forever, from back in my cycling days. And I've always used their sport hydration. And I would say my two favorite flavors are lemon lime and strawberry lemonade, which I'm drinking right now. What I like about it is it doesn't have anything artificial, which is really important to me. I hate hydration products that have artificial sweeteners. And it has 400 milligrams of sodium per serving, which is really important. So that's definitely my favorite Skratch product.
Nice. Matt, what about you?
I'm going to violate the rules and go with two. I'm similar to Andrea. I've been using Skratch for a long time because I have a very, very, very sensitive GI system. And especially now with some of the health stuff I've got going on, it's very important that I don't upset my stomach and keep my system working pretty well. And yeah, it works great. The two products that I absolutely love and buy tons of is their recovery mix, so especially the chocolate. And I use it as hot chocolate, which I actually just finished drinking literally 30 seconds ago as my post long run rushing to get on the podcast recovery drink. And then their sport hydration mix, like Andrea, is a favorite. So the two that I've really enjoyed recently has been strawberry lemonade and the orange, which has been great. And I wish I'd known about doing this a lot better, that we've been taking the sport hydration mix on every long run, and like every 2 miles, I'll just take a sip. And it's done amazing for both maintaining some faster long run workouts, as well as just alleviating that mental fog through the rest of the day. So I'm like, man, I wish I'd like really thought about this. And like, I kind of knew this, but didn't really apply it when I was younger. But now it's like a kind of a must have, especially being a dad at the same time and trying to keep some energy to chase after Isabella later. It's been a godsend for long runs, especially. So it's great.
Nice. David, what about you?
Yeah. Does this hat count?
Sure.
This hat's kind of OP.
That's a nice hat.
But anywho, they're a nutrition company. Mine has kind of changed over time. So I really liked the super high carb mix when I was doing a lot of long runs and I was kind of in the full swing of training, but I'm really not running that much right now. So I'm not really using that product as much. And so lately I found myself using the Sport Hydration quite a bit.
Yeah.
Strawberry lemonade as well is my favorite. They did really good with that. And then the other one is the bars, the nutrition, the energy bars. Yeah. They're super light on the stomach. They go down really well. They pack a decent punch for what they are. I mean, they're 230, 240 calories roughly.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get quick and available energy and something that's light on the gut, it's not bad. And I would eat it a lot before runs and stuff too. So, a great pre-run option or post. I mean, or if you're just needing something throughout the middle of the day. So I'd probably say the Sport Hydration and the bars.
Nice. Yeah. Mine is the recovery mix. I use that every single time. And for me, it's a combination of like what their ingredients are, as Andrea talked about, but also like pretty much everything they do just tastes good. And I definitely put that for all of, like, I've enjoyed every single recovery flavor I've gotten. Strawberry was super good, but chocolate, like you, Matt, is my go-to. I just finished a bag of the horchata yesterday. So
the horchata is the best one.
It's so good. Like, so they just are really hitting with their flavors, but then it's backed by good ingredients. So win-win. So yeah, Matt.
I gotta say the hot chocolate is good, but you are totally right. I gotta switch to horchata now because now I can't really make hot chocolate since it's becoming summer right now. So it's like it's not really working as it tastes great. It's just like I don't really want to get hotter. So the horchata is also legit, absolutely awesome, legit flavor.
What was funny was last winter they came out with the apple cider flavor, and it was legitimately good as hot apple cider. Which I was like, why is this actually tasting like good apple cider? It was frustratingly good, but. So thank you to Skratch for being on this journey with us. It helps us continue to do the podcast. But if you all are wanting to try out Skratch, you can use a code that they gave us. It's Doctors of Running is our code, and it gets you 20% off your first order. But let's move into the fun part of the episode. We're going to be talking about, again, our ideal lineup based on the shoes that have been released in the beginning of 2025 or, again, the end of 2024. And we're going to start with the category that eats up most of our miles, that daily mileage, that daily trainer. Who wants to go first? What is your pick right now, this far into 2025, for your top trainer and why? Matt, go ahead.
This might
be the most polite that he's ever been. Like, I'll speak.
I raise my hand all the time. You guys made fun of me for that too.
It's usually like,
it's fine. No, it's fine. Is it all right if I go?
Yeah, of course. Man.
Right.
Go.
This might also win. Yeah, I might also win another award. But I am loving the ASICS Gel Keanu 32, and I am ranting about this thing in a positive way, and I'm trying to make sure that this doesn't come off as very biased. But like, this is the best Keanu I've ever worn. It's the first Keanu that I've actually gone, I want to put miles on this, and I don't mean to be rude because I know that we have people that have designed these shoes listening. But previous ones have either been clunky, rear foot's just not where it needs to be. They've always been heavy. It's never been my first choice. And this is the first one I'm like, I grab this for everything. If I don't, like, obviously not speed days as much, but I actually just like cranked down some like mid 6 minute miles in this the other day. And I was like, oh, so it's not a lightweight shoe. It's not meant for workouts, but it's just the heel, the slightly lower drop, the heel, just the geometry. The stability is so smooth. It's just been a shoe that I keep grabbing. And I mentioned this on a 100-mile review because I've got 110 on this. The durability isn't as hot as I would like, but this is not that abnormal for me. So, but outside of that, it's just been a great shoe for both daily miles, no matter what's going to come at me, but also long runs as well. There'll be the long run, another long run shoe in the mix here, but I'm loving the shoe. It's great.
This has nothing to do with the performance of the shoe, but I do think this is one of those shoes that Matt doesn't pronounce right. I'm pretty sure it's not Keanu, but it's Kayano.
It's Kayano. I get
Kayano.
It. Yes.
Or I don't even know if the
YouTube comments.
I don't know if the emphasis is on the Kayano or if it's Kayano. I know I've said Kayano, but I just looked it up and it looks like it might be Kayano. People help us out.
Kayano. I know. We're gonna get
Keanu.
We're gonna get another YouTube comment about
Keanu.
This. I like it.
I know is it's not.
I
the
like
Keanu.
this shoe. It is the
I don't know
key.
how to pronounce it right, but I know Matt's not pronouncing it right.
That shouldn't come as a surprise, to be honest.
So, Andrea, what do you got for yours?
So I am super excited about this shoe because I didn't even know I was going to get to test it.
Ooh.
Matt doesn't even know what I'm going to say.
Mm-mm.
The Flylight 6.
Hey.
Topo
wow.
Flylight 6.
Yeah, you have like
Cool.
that one.
Yes.
That's
this shoe
awesome.
is amazing. So I am kind of anticipating that my current favorite daily trainer, the Hyperion 2, is going to get ruined by getting a bunch of additional midsole stack. So this may very well be its replacement for me, although it's definitely lower profile than the Hyperion 2. This shoe is 23 in the heel and 20 in the forefoot with a 3mm drop. I think it's 6.3 ounces for a women's 8 and like 7-ish for a men's 9. But it's just, classic Topo fit, nice wide toe box, really neutral profile. And it just eats up miles for me. I've really been enjoying it for my not long runs, easy runs, warm-ups and cool downs before workouts. It's actually really nice for strides too because it's stiffer.
Sounds like it.
It's basically like a lower profile, less flexible Cyclone. And I love it. So I probably have 20 or 25 miles on it so far. Like not enough to quite write the review yet, but getting there. But I am really enjoying it.
So you said that it would be potentially the replacement for a Hyperion 2 if they do change the Hyperion 2, which that's just trends
which
in
they're
general.
probably going to, yes.
Yeah. Is it better than the Hyperion 2 for you, or is it just, I guess it'll work, kind of like the Hyperion 2, I guess it'll work for the Beacon not existing anymore kind of situation?
I like the way it fits better than the Hyperion 2, simply because like the Topo toe box fit is the best fit for me. It's a little lower stack than I would like. The Hyperion 2 I've used for so many long runs, and I'm not sure I would use the Flylight for it simply because it's lower to the ground. But for like everyday 5 to 6 mile runs or warm-ups and cool downs, it's perfect.
Cool. And I've loved that shoe for kind of like runs and then lifting, just because it is slightly lower profile. And it's not like an ideal lifting shoe. Like if you want to be in lifting and you want to like have a really grounded shoe, it's not that. But if you're looking for something that can do both for you, I feel like it fits there too.
I would agree with that. I haven't tried it at the gym yet. I use the ST5 for most of my gym work. I would say the main difference between the two is just this is so much stiffer than ST5. I can't remember off the top of my head the stack height of ST5, but it must be, I think ST5 is in the teens, so it's a little bit
15.
Lower to the ground. But yeah, I could absolutely see this being a great lifting shoe too, like you said.
Yeah, it's 14. The ST5 from Topo is 14 millimeters, and it's a 0 drop shoe.
Right.
Cool.
I will also say really quick, that shoe's been great as a walking and standing shoe. Like sometimes, like for right now, my post tib is getting better. It's really, really starting to improve. So I've had to ease into low drop, like 0 drop stuff. And it's been great because it's 3 or 5? It's 5.
3.
3. That's right. So that 3mm drop has been just enough to offset kind of any like irritation in my foot and ankle. And so I've been able to slowly ease back into daily use of these kind of shoes. And that's been a great transitional shoe as well. And same thing, been able to run a couple miles in it and not have too major of an issue. The arch is a teeny bit higher. That is just at least something that I felt where it's not super low, and Topo is consistently doing that, where it's like, it's not a flat arch. There is still something there. So people that need maybe that slight feeling going, oh, I have a little pressure in my arch. I've definitely noticed that. And it's not arch support, but it just has this nice kind of hold into the midfoot that's been really, 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 really good.
Nice. I think that the arch feeling is similar to Cyclone 2 and 3. Would you agree? Yeah.
I would 1,000% agree. I think that's the perfect way of saying that.
Cool. Well, I'll go next. My daily trainer so far this year is the Nike Vomero 18. And they really overhauled the 17 where they put the dual density midsole. And it was good for me then. What I like about the update to this one is it almost feels like the ZoomX top layer is almost thinner than it was last version, because the shoe is overall a little bit firmer. I think part of that too is the geometry that they did on the outside of each part of the shoe, just because it has a little bit of a convex nature to it, so it doesn't just compress on either side as well. And it's got some flexibility, but moderate stiffness. So it operates off the rocker. It's just working really well for my foot right now. And so that's why I've appreciated it. I know you've had issues with durability. I have had none issues with durability, but that's because I don't rip everything off like you do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like most of the durability issues is he just like shreds the outsole off. Like it's not even the rubber gives, it's like the glue holding the rubber to the shoe gives.
So I have not had any like abrasion going down on these shoes. And it's 10 and a half ounces. It's a 10 millimeter drop. It's really high stacked. It's like 44 to 34, but it just feels really rhythmic, really good for easy runs. And I've taken on like moderate long runs as well. So it's done well for all of that. My biggest complaint is that I was pulling the heel tab and it ripped. So that's not super fun.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
So they could obviously improve on that, but that has nothing to do with how it feels when I'm actually running, but come on, you should get a heel tab that works and holds up. So I like the little bit stiffer nature of it, a little bit more firm. It feels snappy. It's not a light shoe at all, but it can handle easy miles and daily mileage and a little up tempo just fine for me. So that's my pick. I would say it feels like a boring pick, but it's definitely the one that I've been reaching for the daily mileage pace. But the other shoe that I did want to bring up, I'm pulling a David here, is the Topo Phantom 4. I really love the fit of it. I like that it's a little bit softer than the Phantom 3. The only issue that I'm having with it is that their lateral sidewall is just pushing into my lateral foot, particularly on the left side, and just causing a little irritation. Like I took it on like a 10 miler and I could just feel it by the end. So it's limiting me from like using it a ton just because of kind of they have the ortholite like insert in there, and then some of the sidewalls just aren't agreeing with me. But if you don't have that issue, I think this is a great shoe and a good movement forward of the Phantom line.
I liked that shoe, Nathan, but the medial midfoot sidewall did not agree with me.
There we go.
Yep.
They've got a lot of sidewalls in there that I don't think they need. I think if they shave those down, I think
the additional stack height in this version compared to the 3 made the sidewalls firmer. I felt like the 3, they collapsed more, so you didn't notice them as much, but they're very noticeable in the 4.
They are. I think that's an easy alteration for the future because it's wide enough of a geometry that you don't really need for a neutral shoe. You don't really need that cradling as much, but it is what it is. All right, David, your turn.
All right. Well, for people that have been watching this show or listening to us, I think over the years, I've kind of traditionally kind of fell right in the middle. I feel like when it comes to stack or stiffness or cushioning, like I tend to do pretty well with a lot of the flagship shoes when it comes to daily training across, a pretty large variety of companies. This shoe that I'm going to bring up is one that I've been a longtime fan of throughout its lineage. And the last version just kind of missed the mark for me, I think, with the upper fit, and things just didn't quite go very well. But then this newer version, midsole is the same. Geometry, to my knowledge, is roughly the same. They changed it a little bit. And then the upper is a million times better. And that's the Saucony Ride 18. And so I don't know if that shocks you guys or not, but it's one of the shoes that I've kind of come back to. We keep testing more and more things. It was kind of one of the first things that came through earlier in the year. It's just nice and steady for me. It's kind of just checks all the boxes. It's got a very nice, breathable, surprisingly plush upper for what it is, because it's not the quote unquote premium trainer, but it almost feels like it. And then the weight is like in the 9 ounce range, I think. So it's pretty lightweight for the most part. Good outsole coverage. I haven't had any issues with taking it in all the situations I'd want to take it at daily paces. I haven't had any issues with. And it's just a very balanced rocker profile, nice and steady, Power Run Plus midsole. So you have that durable kind of beaded TPU kind of midsole and a little bit of flexibility, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's flexible, so it can just do a little bit of everything and it can take a beating, and it's nice and rhythmic for me. Yeah. So one of the few shoes where I feel like I can stand, walk, run, do kind of literally anything I want in the shoe for the most part. So I've been actually really happy with the Ride series. And cool. That's probably not a surprise considering the Ride 16 was something that I loved. And the 17, it was like I wanted to love, but I just it just wasn't quite there. But the 18 came back around. So
I think for me with the 17, one of the things that prevented me from really loving it was actually the upper, because they had that kind of plasticky midfoot hold on it.
It's cinched down a little tighter.
Yeah, and it wasn't forgiving. And they kind of just made it more traditional classic for the 18. It feels better for me. Before we move on from the daily training category, is there anything else we want to add?
I have an honorable mention to add.
All right.
Pulling a David.
That's right. I'm inspired by David. I only have one honorable mention, so I'm not quite at your honorable mention level yet. This is another shoe that I just recently got for testing. I think I have 3 runs on it, so maybe like 15, 20 miles. But I am really enjoying it, and I think it's going to be one of my favorites for the year, and it is the Neo Vista 2. This shoe is a lot of fun. I think it's funny. I posted a picture of these shoes on my feet the other day, and I got 2 messages like immediately saying, do you have your shoes on the wrong foot because the artwork is on the inside? And no, that's just how they made it. And that's actually one of the things I like about it, because the original one had the big logo on the outside, and it put a little pressure over like my 4th and 5th toes.
Nice.
So this upper definitely fits better for me. And the midsole, I think it's a little firmer than version 1. I like that feeling. It's been great for recovery runs, just regular easy runs. I haven't taken it on a long run yet, but I'm going to. My long runs right now are like 10 miles though, so not what I was doing when I was training for marathons, but this is my second favorite daily trainer I've tested this year.
Cool.
To confirm, Matt, you said firmer than the previous version.
Any responses?
I'm sorry,
to this?
Matt.
Andrew, I think we need to have another episode.
So it does not tell. What do you feel?
No,
Matt?
it's astronomically softer.
So, yeah, to me, it feels. How do I describe this? I'm not fully surprised that you're saying that. Not that I'm judging. Mm-hmm. It feels very different from the original. Felt very.
No, I'm not surprised that you're saying that because you're wrong.
No. So let me clarify that we have different mechanics. So I'm always trying to think about like, okay, how are you loading the shoe differently? Why might be having these experiences? So that's not completely surprising me. What did you think about the original?
I liked the original. I did. Last year when I was testing it, I think my long runs were like 12 to 15 miles, and I used it on several of them. I liked it. I didn't like the overlay over the lateral forefoot, but I just recall feeling like it's just a little bit too soft for me to keep using. So I did not keep using it. Yeah.
Can you hold the shoe up again?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it felt like
just kind of like a lateral view.
Yeah.
Because you also land much more anterior, and it's a dual density midsole.
I'm landing like here.
You're probably integrating with that plate a little quicker. Even if the foam's more compliant, it might feel firmer.
Yeah. Right, because you've got this dual density here. I'm not interacting with that at all. Yeah,
absolutely.
So if I'm landing like right there, then that's going to feel totally different for me.
I just realized. That's why I was asking. I don't think I'm transitioning through the shoe as well. Like the first one just felt like, it was very soft, but it was so responsive. Like that's the shoe that I ran a sub-5 stroller mile with. And so I was like, I like the bounce. Obviously, as you get to 100 miles, like it lessens, it becomes softer and softer. Whereas version 2 felt much softer immediately. And I think the stack height is the same, higher or lower than the original. I have looked at this and found a variety of reports.
Might be slightly higher, but I don't have confirmation on.
Does anybody else know?
I pulled the 2 up. Stack is heel 45, forefoot 37. So what was the?
It wasn't at 45 before.
I don't. Yeah. Was it at 44, 43?
Here, I've got it right here. Just a second.
The reason I'm asking is when I first put it on, I was like, whoa, like this is not the same shoe. Crazy. Yeah,
it's a new foam though. Like they did update the midsole. Like it's definitely softer from the topsole at least.
The original was 44 and a half, 36 and a half.
Yeah.
So that's similar.
That was my gut instinct going, I bet these are the same. The two feel so much taller. And just like there's a lot more midsole like compression, but I'm not getting as much bounce off. So for me, I'm not getting that same responsiveness and like turnover.
Yeah, I disagree though.
The upper is much better in my opinion. But I can also see, I think the Vista 2 is going to be more popular.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just better.
I think the upper's cleaned up, updates cleaned up. I think a lot of people are going to like the ride more than the first one. With the first one I felt like it was pretty aggressive, not necessarily in a bad way, but I'm like, oh, like I really liked it because I felt like I could turn over so well in it. I think the next one may not be. And so David seems like he disagrees, which is great. So.
Yeah, I like the Neo Vista too. I think it actually does have a pretty good amount of responsiveness to it, even relative to the first one. Maybe even more so. I think it just, because that foam's a little softer, it might feel a little more awkward at like fast paces, but I'm not going to be running 5K, 10K pace in the Neo Vista 2. So for like long run paces or like long workouts and tempo runs and things like that, I think it might actually be better. And I think the upper fits better. It's more airy. It doesn't get that like weird scrunchiness that the other one would get on the outer like booty construction of it. So I actually like the Neo Vista 2. It's not on my list today. Sorry guys, but
and for the secret of this episode,
maybe it will be by the end of the year. I don't know. That's an honorable mention worthy shoe for me at the moment, even though it's not on the list. So we'll get that out of the way, I guess. But yeah, this
episode is sponsored by the Mizuno Neo Vista 2 surprise review.
Yeah, I know. We spent way too much time talking about Mizuno.
And we're not done because I gotta add something too. I have to add something too because pretty much everything David said, I also feel the opposite of that. I like this too, but there's a couple of things I wonder about.
Oh yeah, you don't like the upper, huh?
Yeah, I don't like the upper.
Yeah, you're the only one.
When I had I'm thinking back to the Hoka Carbon X3. They went to the booty construction on that, and it would always fold over on top, and I would have to deal with that. And I get the same thing because they did open it up a little bit in the Neo Vista 2, so I have to cinch it down for me a little bit more, so it folds over under the laces for me, which I don't love. It doesn't bother me yet, but I don't like that. It shouldn't have to have folds in the upper, in my opinion. But I agree more with Matt that because of how soft it is, I don't feel like I can push the pace in it. That's just how I'd rather run recovery runs, easy runs, like maybe some daily mileage, but I wouldn't even want to do like a mild tempo and like getting down to like half marathon pace for me.
Yep.
It just feels a little bit heavier in that sense because of how much compression. Yep. However, the other thing that I'm curious about, and we don't test this, but maybe Joanna does, where I would love to see the stack height in this shoe fresh compared to after 50 miles. And I'd love to see if the foam that they're using here just compresses down, because it does feel so much higher than my originals, but that could also be because of like use and how much do we lose in stack height after using of a shoe. I'd be curious to know that because I wouldn't be surprised with such like a compliant foam if you start to lose some of that full stack height over time, but that's not substantiated. It's more of a curiosity. So well, thanks Andrea for bringing out that extra honorable mention in the daily trainer category. Oh, actually I have one more question for everybody. The Neo Vista 2 went from 180 to 200 in price. Do you feel like the value for that shoe is still there at the 200? Because that puts it at right now the same price as the Super Blast. Like, do you feel like the value is still there for the shoe?
I think for the right person it is, yeah. I'll go out there and say it. It's a new foam. It's really soft, really bouncy. It's a new experience. It's like a lighter profile shoe. Like, it kind of checks all the boxes. It may not be as stable as a Super Blast 2, but for those that don't want that, like they have that really soft, fun, bouncy ride in the Neo Vista 2. And it's plated. Like I do think it's a versatile shoe that can do a little bit of everything. It's obviously really soft. Like I wouldn't take something that soft for running really fast, but again, I don't know. I'll be opting for something lower profile and something more appropriate for going really fast in any ways. So I think for the uses that it checks the boxes for me, I think so. I think it's fine.
I thought it was a really good value at $180 in the original. And I think we're going to see running shoe prices go up $20 across the board because of tariffs. So I think $200 for the two is just as good of a value.
Cool. Matt, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I understand. We're in a time of inflation and things are getting more expensive, and shoes are also, people are charging more for it. So I get it. I wish it'd say to 180. Like, I was just trying to remember, like, how much does the SC Trainer version 3 cost? So, well, that's not the same because it's much firmer. The durability on that is killer. It's been phenomenal. And I got that to well over 100 miles and was able to do workouts, long runs, everything between. It's stable.
The New Balance SC Trainer.
Yeah, it's not the softest shoe on the market, but it can still move. And even with not having the like best fit, like I should have gone a half size up, and we've talked about that before, it's still 180. And that, to me, like, I wish the Neo Vista had stuck at that price, but I also understand with the foam upgrades and all that stuff, and it probably, with how soft it feels for the majority of people, because Andrew, you land a little more forward than a lot of people, and so since most people are going to be heel strikers, I'm assuming people are looking for that super soft ride. I do have to agree with David that I understand. I'm not happy about it, but I understand.
I don't think anyone's happy about it.
Yeah.
I think we have to kind of look beyond that when it comes to the pricing of some of these things.
Yep.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by Running Warehouse. If you are wanting to check out any of the shoes that we talk about regarding our favorites from the first half of 2025, pop over to runningwarehouse.com to check out their incredible selection, and they'll make sure that you get the right shoe for you based on their incredible customer service and return policies. So if you want to check out these shoes that we are talking about today, you can pop over to runningwarehouse.com. All right, let's go into our next category, and it's shoes for the long run. And so I will kick us off for this one just to get myself out of the way. But mine is a shoe that I have almost the majority of my long runs in this year, but I can't pick the other one because it's not from 2025. But I'm going to talk about it anyway after I finish. But the shoe that I'm going to say is actually the Skechers Aero Burst. This is one of their new shoes that they've kind of, first time in a while, they've kind of updated their line. They kind of had the Razor series for a while, and now they've kind of done their next iteration. And I wouldn't say this shoe is like a home run. This shoe will not be my end of year long run shoe, but for what I have used so far, it has been. And it's about 44-ish millimeters in the heel. It's about 10.8 ounces, so it's a bit heavier, 10.9 ounces. It's got a dual density midsole. They weren't super clear on how that is constructed within the midsole, but it also has their H plate, so that adds a little bit of rigidity. But it's a really solid rockered shoe. You're going to feel that rocker on the run. It's got a nice heel bevel. They do have their arch fit in the shoe, and I've talked about this on previous episodes. Usually the arch fit is really problematic for me because it's really pronounced. This one feels much more kind of tame, don't really feel it as much. And it's a soft shoe. You kind of like sink into it, and at slower paces, it's got a little bit of pop. What I have found with this shoe from what it's useful for, if I try to put any sort of pace in here, it feels heavy and it loses any pop that the foam had, the Hyper Burst Ice, right? All of the pop that it has at the slower paces, it doesn't keep giving it as I go faster. So definitely something that has just been, I've taken on multiple 10+ mile runs, and it's worked really well for that, but it's limited to kind of that slower paces because of the weight and the lack of the foam responsiveness as I picked up the pace. At least that was my experience. But just to really say really briefly, the shoe that I have most of my long runs in this year, I did like my half marathon in it, and then I also ran 14 and a half yesterday, is the Super Blast 2 still. It's just lightweight. It can just kind of go. Like I did my last mile yesterday at like a 7:10 pace, and most of the run was like an 8:40. And so it can just kind of do whatever, and it's just a great shoe. So not 2025, but I still love it for long runs. Who's going next?
I can go next because we got the honorable mention out of the way already. So my honorable mention would be the Neo Vista 2 there. I'm not doing...
Do you want to talk about it anymore? I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was going to, but I mean...
No, we got it out of the way. Keep going.
BJ, cut the next 15 minutes out. This will be fine. I'm just kidding.
But I'm not doing as many like faster long runs like I used to. And so that's kind of why it's not really like my main long run option at the moment. I think it does really well at that like slight up tempo pacing where it's just like you just fall into rhythm, just go to work and, 90 minutes at some pace or something like that. I'm just not doing that type of work right now. So my long run shoe right now, you could make the case is more in the daily training category than it is in the long run category, but it's been in the long run category for me. And I'm kind of cheating a little bit because it would have otherwise been an honorable mention for the daily training category, but it's going to be the Brooks Glycerin 22.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I like it. I like it a lot. And I feel like I'm kind of getting the experience that I would have loved to get out of the Glycerin Max. If that makes sense. I feel like there was a lot of hype around that shoe and that shoe just did not work for me. I can see why people like it. I can look at it from a design standpoint. I can appreciate the shoe, but like it was so compliant. And even though it was a wider platform and the way they had it structured, like I just felt like I was like, I don't know, like I felt like I was just like balancing on stilts, if that makes sense, every step. And it never leveled out. And so like I would get really fatigued and gassed running in that shoe. And I just like couldn't really take it past 6 miles. And it wasn't like a knock on the shoe. I do think it's a good shoe for the right people. Obviously it worked really well for Klein. But I feel like this shoe kind of leveled that out for me. It gave me a little bit more of a neutral option. And then they tuned it to be DNA tuned thing. They got me. But it's softer in the heel and firmer in the forefoot, not just because of the drop. It's because of the way that they did the midsole. And so you get kind of a more plush heel with a little bit more of a bouncy and responsive forefoot. The weight's a little bit heavier. Obviously, this is more of a daily training type of shoe, but I feel like I can fall into rhythm really well. The rocker profile isn't crazy, but it has a bevel and it has a rounding in the forefoot. It just feels very, I don't know, it feels like a slightly structured neutral, if that makes sense. And it just kind of has a nice little roll to it. There's nothing too crazy about it. I can fall into rhythm. And again, I can kind of take it wherever I want to for the most part. And it doesn't feel unstable to me. So I have a nice, cushioned rear foot there that transitions into a little bit more of a poppy and lively forefoot. And like, no, it's not going to be a speed shoot, but it's just like enough of a bounce to give that forefoot a little bit of life and kind of make you excited about the next step. And so, yeah, I've actually really been liking the Glycerin 22. So
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Andrew, you want to go next?
All right. Well, similar to you, my pick is not the shoe I have the most long run miles on. I've basically been using my long runs to get test miles on. We've had so many super shoes and up tempo shoes to test this year, which is awesome. So what I have the most miles on when I'm not testing shoes is Hyperion 2. But I thought about, well, out of all of the shoes I've taken on long runs this year, and again, for me, long run is like 10 miles at like 30 seconds slower than marathon pace. It's actually the Diadora Gara Carbon 2.
Oh, wow.
I've got different picks this time. So this shoe is one of the most comfortable fitting super shoes I've tested. So it's really great for long runs simply because you just don't notice the upper at all. It feels like a super shoe. It's PBX. What do they call it? Anima PBX. It rolls nicely. I actually really enjoyed testing it for faster intervals too, but you kind of just set your pace and go. And I felt like I could kind of forget about the shoe. It gave me a little boost in terms of pace at a given effort. So it's been really enjoyable on the long runs I've used it for. And its durability has been pretty good. I can't remember how many miles I have on it, but, I haven't really eaten up like the exposed midsole that much. Forefoot's in great shape. So I would expect a lot of miles out of this shoe for a super shoe. I actually really enjoyed running in this shoe. So highly recommend. I mean, it is one of the most expensive super shoes out there. What is it, 300?
It's 300, yeah.
Yeah, which actually doesn't make it one of the most super expensive super shoes anymore, but it's expensive for the category of super shoe it's in. So
yes, yeah.
If you're a Diadora fan, I would recommend it. But yeah, it is a little pricey.
Yeah. All right, Matt, your turn.
All right, so this one already got an award, so I'll move on. But just say most of my long runs have been in the Kayano. It's a solid shoe, but
Still wrong.
Whatever. All right, fine.
That shoe.
That shoe. Just because if I'm doing something easy pace, it's been good. But for the majority of our longer runs between my wife and I, since we do all of our training together, have not been easy. There's been starting to do some up-tempo stuff. We're working down into like marathon type paces and stuff like that for longer effort. So there's actually two shoes, which I've really, really enjoyed for this. And Andrea, sorry to do this to you, but the Hyperion Max 3 has actually been a favorite. The DNA Gold, although it's not the full length. I'm sorry, was that too much?
No. For more on this topic, please see our previous podcast episode in which Matt and I spend 45 minutes disagreeing on this shoe.
Yeah. I will. The upper is a little thicker than it needs to be. It's a little more snug than it needs to be, but it's been a fun shoe that I can go between easier and faster efforts. And it's not the fastest shoe. And I think it is still a lot heavier and the upper is a lot thicker than it needs to be, but it's been a really, really solid option. Been a shoe I've done a lot of long runs in. The other shoe that has come as quite a surprise, and it's not perfect, but I've really enjoyed the faster long run. So this will be one that I'll bring up in the Speed Trainer one. But the SC Elite version 5 has been really solid. I did not think this was going to be stable enough for me with that midfoot, but
it looks narrow.
It's done super well on like the longer up tempo, faster long runs has done really well. It's not super great for easy runs. It's okay. It's definitely way more aggressive than the previous version. I have some caveats with this where it kind of is no longer that friendly super shoe like the old one was. But for doing up-tempo long runs, it's actually done surprisingly well. And I really thought I was going to irritate my post-tib a lot with this, and I didn't. So it's been really solid. So it's been a surprisingly good longer range shoe. It does not have the speed range that a lot of other super shoes do. So there's more to talk about with this. But yeah, those have been my 2-ish, 3-ish, where I've really enjoyed for longer runs.
Perfect. Well, let's transition to the next category, which is our workout shoe or performance trainer or lightweight trainer, however you want to categorize this. This would be a shoe that you would want to use when you're not just going out for an easy run, but you're going to be having some sort of effort built into it, which obviously can look a lot of different ways. So, Andrew, I'm going to kick it to you first. Give us your kind of workout shoe so far of 2025.
All right. I'm so glad that this shoe was released in 2025 because if it wasn't, I don't know what shoe I would have chosen. So the Topo Cyclone 3 is hands down my favorite workout shoe. I think I'm on my third pair of Cyclone 2s, and I got the Cyclone 3 at the beginning of the year. I've used Cyclone 2 for every speed workout I've done where either I haven't been running in spikes or I only needed to do part of the workout in spikes. The Cyclone 3 feels just the same as the 2. They just changed the upper a little bit. I did bring my, here we go. I do have Cyclone 2. So you can see just the difference in the material of the upper and how they kind of ran the overlays. Supposedly that's supposed to make the 3 more durable. I think some people had issues with punching holes in the lateral part of the 2. That never happened to me on any of the pairs that I had. So I don't really notice a difference between the 2 uppers, but the Cyclone 2/Cyclone 3, I love the 5 mil drop. I love the responsiveness of the Pipa foam. I love that the forefoot is flexible. I mean, it's not super flexible, but it's flexible enough that I can run fast in it. I've run, multiple 31, 32 second 200s in it, and it's great. I've used it on a lot of indoor track workouts. So it's been stable enough for those tight turns. It's such a great shoe. I hope they never change it because I will be possibly as sad as I am about the beacon, which is saying a lot.
Wow, that is saying a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say
Topo,
too,
listen.
Yes, Topo.
Topo.
Do not change the Cyclone.
So doing something rocking back and forth.
That's
right. Although, let's be real, if there's a company that is less likely to make major overhauls to a shoe, it's Topo, because they're not as influenced by a trend as they are their kind of like grounding philosophy on footwear. Whether it's exactly right or not, I don't think that matters. But I think it does say something about like, I think you'll see more incremental changes and kind of sticking to what they think is useful based on their philosophy. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yes.
David, what were you going to say?
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say, so the Cyclone's not on my list, but I'll explain why in a little bit. But it might be the most track responsive lightweight trainer out there.
Yes.
Or so shall I say track friendly. You can just rip in that shoe and you have just enough cushion on it to do pretty much anything you want from middle distances upwards of 10K type work. So if you are someone looking for that kind of just workout shoe on the track, like it is not bad at all. And it turns really well. Like how Andrea was saying, like you can even hit indoor in it. Not that I have, but like you totally could. So yeah, I guess, should I just transition into my workout pick at this point? Yeah, so I'm not running as aggressively as I was in the last year. And so for me, the Cyclone really, really shined on the track. I could do some road workouts in it, but for the most part, like the longer stuff, I would kind of choose something that had a little bit more stacker or rocker profile on it. And I'm not running as aggressive right now. So for me, the Cyclone just isn't on my list for that reason right now. So the shoes I have a little bit more structure to it. Honorable mention, I'll go real quick through it. We have the Skechers Aero Spark. So this is probably going to be a surprise for some people, but partially because of the value, its retail is at $130, which I think isn't bad for what it is. It's in the 9 ounces. It has the Hyperburst Ice. It's a little bit lower profile than the Burst. So this is like right around 36 millimeters of stack in the heel, 30 in the forefoot. You have the H plate in there, but there's still a little bit of flexibility. So it's like the H plate almost serves more as like a little bit of a guidance underneath than it does as a stiffening agent, I think, as far as like a responsive toe off. But it's got a little bit of structure on there for those that need it. Dare I say it's like a structured razor, like from the past. And that's kind of what it feels reminiscent of. And it feels like maybe I would choose other shoes to do the workouts. And if I had, and absolutely the entire lineup of shoes, but like this is something that I feel like you could actually get your money's worth out of, and you can hit daily workouts in. The Goodyear traction's pretty good too. I feel like you could hit the track in this. This is probably a little heavy as far as going fast, but for like normal workouts, not bad. But I think Nate is going to really like this, but I think my workout shoe is going to be the Rebel 5 right now. And so we're good. New Balance Rebel 5. So lightweight. I think they thickened the outsole some, gave it a little bit more rigidity. It worked for me. It feels a little bit more stable than previous versions. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with the performance of this. So it's been one of those shoes that I feel like I can kind of take for a good variety of stimuli.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to go next then, because I am going to be talking about the same shoe that you just did in the Rebel 5. And so, yeah, the Rebel 5 is my pick. But even more so so David says he's like not really running and not really running hard. I'm putting that in air quotes because he's still like crushing these like workouts and like still going on these long runs and all this kind of stuff. I'm actually not doing like major workouts, like for real. So, this shoe I actually almost picked for my daily trainer shoe. I love the compliance of the shoe. The fit is really nice for me. And I just feel like it transitions great back to front the entire way. Any sort of beveling is working really well for me. So I've just really loved this shoe across the board. But because of how lightweight it is, it was one that I can just pick up the pace very easily. I did do like 2 workouts in this shoe where I was doing even like 1K kind of tempo type efforts. And it comes in at like 7.5, I think, ounces for me. And that's just a great weight. And I like that it's flexible in the forefoot. It just does a lot of things. So it cruises really easy, but then can double into some of those workouts. So for where I'm at in my training, where I'm not like really hammering workouts, it's great because I can do a lot of easy stuff but it has a very high ceiling for how fast I can push in this shoe. I don't know if I'd really want to bring it to the track much because of how compliant this is. It might be a little bit wobbly. I have not even tested it on the track in that way, but it locks down well, so you might be okay. But I really like it for kind of road workouts that I've brought it on so far. So that's my pick. Matt, you want to go next?
Sure. So this is me being annoyed. I was going to pick the Saucony Speed 5, but then I ripped the outsole off, and I was kind of annoyed. I will still give it an honorable mention. It is softer and a little bit less aggressive than the previous version, so some people might not like that. I did like it until the outsole came off, just because there's a little bit more medial flare on the shoe, so it made it just a bit more stable for someone like me. And they took out the lateral aspect of the plate, so it actually has a little bit more lateral bias. So that was great for me. It was doing well for workouts, just the durability wasn't quite where it was. So the one that takes that space is, again, going to be the SC Elite version 5 for a couple reasons. And I would have never picked the previous version for this, but this shoe can move. It is not the fastest super shoe. And I think that's why I like it, because the Fuel Cell P-Butt just doesn't feel on par with a lot of the other shoes, but the forefoot is so much more stiff that when I'm trying to do faster stuff, and my wife and I are focusing on like 5K, 10K type efforts right now, like when I can really get this, like when I push really hard through the forefoot, it will move. The traction is also really, really good, and it's also great on the track as well. And this is my left shoe, and the outsole is still intact at like 35 something miles. So that's a big deal. I know somebody's going to be like 35 miles. I'm like, I tear shoes apart, especially when they have a missing full outsole, which again, my rant with the Vomero was going to be, why do people not like full length outsoles anymore? I get that they save weight, but please, for the love of shoes surviving, can we have some more full length outsoles, please? But yeah, the surprise, I would not take
like,
this
Matt is
for
an
a
N
race.
of one.
N of one. Yeah.
He's like, make it lighter, but keep the rubber.
Yeah, just at least a little bit. Like at least, I'll bring up another shoe in just a second that I think is going to last longer, despite being like half the weight of this. But yeah, I'm enjoying it just because the forefoot is so stiff. It works for faster efforts. I do think a lot of people are not going to work well with this shoe. I think a lot of people that really enjoyed the previous version for being more friendly, for being a little, not flexible, but just having a better, like a smoother rocker, it's not going to work as well. This is much more aggressive, but still the foam, I just don't feel like it's still in like top tier super shoes, but it's still good for getting some workouts in.
Can I make a suggestion for shoe manufacturers so that you stop complaining about this? They can just
I have a list of complaints. This is just one of them. Yeah.
But they can send you what they can call a matte patch, which would just be an extra little piece of rubber outsole
Yeah, that's fair. I'm investing a lot of money in rubber cement right now to keep like gluing this stuff back on, going, can I somehow get this to survive any longer?
I think that was my favorite interaction. Matt saying, I have a long list of complaints. Andrea, yeah, we know.
You know.
On that note, let's go to our final category. We're going to be talking about, for this first half, top racing shoe for the beginning of 2025. I am rescinding myself from giving one because I literally have not ran in any super shoes yet this year, more than a quarter mile. So I am not going to be giving my input. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Matt, first, and then we'll go David, and then close things up with Andrea.
Well, on the note of me getting upset about things and having to cool off a little bit, this shoe was not any different. I loved the previous version. It was my favorite racing shoe of 2024. And I was very excited. And then as soon as I got it, became very nervous about it. But as I've gotten some miles on it, I've gone, okay, it's still good. It's way crazier. And we're moving down a path where these shoes are becoming extremely aggressive, and they're really only good for faster efforts. And that shoe for me is the Asics Metaspeed Edge Tokyo. It is much light. It's like over half an ounce lighter than the previous version. The stack height is not taller, despite feeling a lot taller. And once I finally, I know David and I had this conversation.
Is it taller? I'm like, if it was any taller, it wouldn't be World Athletics legal now.
No, I know. I get that. It just felt taller. I know that. I get it. But it just, the Flight Foam Leap is pretty nuts when you're starting to pull up the pace. And I've really enjoyed that. I will say what's different from the prior version. The prior version I could do warm up and cool down in and not feel that bad. This has become a more specific tool. It is faster. It is way bouncier. It's way lighter, but it loses the comfort factor that I think was present in the previous version. But that's kind of the cost of getting the weight down. Like when I'm putting the shoe on, when I am like going out the door, upper kind of feels like loose. It feels like I'm sliding a little bit. The midsole feels awkward. And then as soon as the pace turns up a little bit, that all goes away. And it just disappears. I can pick up the pace so smoothly and effortlessly. It's really good. So I've got some races coming up. This is going to be the shoe that I am wearing for those, regardless of the distance. And even though I'm really curious to see how the stability goes, it's not meant to be a stable shoe. David, I think you mentioned the heel feels it's just a little bit more stable without being too bad with kind of the wider base. But I'm going to see if I can test it maybe for a half and we'll find out what happens. But I've been turning over pretty quick in this shoe and really enjoying it.
David, what you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to agree and disagree at the same time. So probably no surprises here for me. Metaspeed Edge Tokyo is what I'm holding up. I think I'm just an Edge boy when we look at the differences between the Edge and the Sky. I've never really agreed with the Sky outside of the very, very first version. But when we look at the Asics Metaspeed Edge Tokyo, like, yeah, they took a shoe that was already really light, really responsive, had a good outsole traction. Like everything about it was very lively. And I felt like it just lined up with my mechanics. And they just made it better. And I was like, holy crap, like how did like that was already really good. I disagree. I think you can warm up and cool down in this. I feel like now that I've had more and more miles on it, maybe you just got to break it in a little bit more. Yeah. But the Turbo Plus like is mostly in the heel with the Flight Foam Leap in the forefoot. And you can kind of see the plate line there where it rides real high in the heel. So you kind of have a firmer base there, and then you just drop into that just really soft and incredibly bouncy Flight Foam Leap. And this shoe can rip. I mean, geez. I mean, you could run a road mile in this thing.
Easy.
Yeah. You could run a road mile in this. And I do think you could run a marathon in this. Like if I was going to be running a marathon, I think this is one of the more stable super shoes, at least for me right now, especially in the rear foot, that are out there. So it's like if I was already thinking about doing it, and I never got to run a marathon in the Edge Paris. I'm trying to remember all these city names, like which city was it? in the Edge Paris. I never got to. I did run a half in it and it was nice. But I don't see any reason why you can't take this 26.2, and I don't see any reason why you can't take it 1. So across the board, this thing has blown me away. I mean, the Sky was a little bit unstable for me. I thought for a second when I first got them that maybe I would change into Team Sky, but no. Edge.
All right, Andrea.
Edge boy for life.
Right. My choice will probably be no surprise to anybody. It is the Nike Streak Fly 2. This year, I've only been racing the 800 and the mile. So like my racing shoes are definitely different than they have been in the past.
Yeah.
On the track, I've been wearing the Victory 2, but I got to race this one in 2 road miles a few weeks ago. And it is literally a track spike designed for the road. It's 26 rear foot, 22 forefoot, I believe, 4 millimeter drop. But you can see the way the midsole's shaped. It's really designed to put you on your forefoot, which I really like. If you asked me how should a road mile racer be designed, it would be this shoe. It's super light, 4.6 ounces, I think, which is crazy. That's lighter than a lot of spikes out there.
I think it's 4.6 for men's.
Yeah.
So it's even lighter.
So mine probably is like 4 flat. It has ZoomX, but not so much ZoomX that you feel like you can't actually load it. It's got a full-length carbon plate. It's just perfectly tuned for fast road racing. I would probably take it up to 5K, 10K, although I'm not sure it would be my first choice now that I've tested the Puma Faster Nitro Elite 3. That's a pretty awesome shoe. But for road miles, for me, there's literally nothing better than this shoe. And I'm so excited that Nike really made a tremendous update to version 1, which was a nice first start, but was definitely not a road racer.
Would you say if you were going distance shoe, the Fast R3 would be the one that would take the cake for you?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do a 5K when I go home to visit my family in August, and Faster's coming home with me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, there's our lineups. That is what we've got for the first half of 2025 from all of those categories: our daily trainer, our long run shoe, that performance trainer, and then racing shoe. And we'd love to hear what y'all have to think too. So if you have ones that you think should have made the list, or ones you want to say that these worked for you, feel free to drop those in the comments on YouTube, and we'd love to see it. And the other thing that we wanted to do before we wrap things up is just briefly talk about which company is kind of exciting us the most. So this isn't a question of which is the company that we think is doing the best job. Which one is the one that's kind of just like intriguing us, has us excited for what's coming from them? Anybody want to go first?
Sure, I have 2.
Of course you do.
I like what's coming down the line with Brooks. I feel like they're starting to update that footwear line a little bit, and I think we're starting to see some of these things come to fruition, and the shoes are getting a lot more lively while still being kind of stable and having a traditional ride. Like, they're getting more and more fun. So I think it'd be really exciting to try any of those performance shoes coming down the line, being whether it's, I don't know, the Hyperion Elite 4 PB or the Hyperion Elite 5, hopefully. But the other one would be New Balance. I feel like they're just cleaning up the fit of things a little bit. And for me, like, Fuel Cell's never been my favorite midsole. It's always been a little soft and unstable for me. Like, kind of stuff I said about the Glycerin Max earlier. You know, like, I kind of had feelings like that in almost a lot of the New Balance shoes. And I feel like they always had fresh foam dialed in pretty well, but I feel like Fuel Cell was missing the mark for me. But in the last couple of things, including the SC Elite 5, like, it feels good. It feels nice, and it doesn't feel unstable. And I think some of it too is also upper fit. Like, they're just, the shoes are just getting more integrated, just better. So excited about those 2 companies.
Well, I'll go next then, because the one that was on my mind, even though I have not necessarily gotten along with their most recent releases, but it's also Brooks. I think that we're seeing changes for the first time in a while. And I feel like the last time we started to see changes like this in a company, it was with ASICS, from like early 2020-ish, when they kind of like really revamped stuff. I think we're seeing something similar with Brooks right now, which I think is pretty exciting. The other company that I would say is ASICS. I've seen some like just online random leaks of things coming down the line, because I've always gotten along with the Nova Blast, and because I like the Super Blast. They've got some other kind of like trainers in that category coming. So I'm naturally excited because I have had success with the shoes that they've got going on. So those are the 2 for me.
I would agree. The ASICS is the brand for me. One, because I haven't tested the Edge, the Sky, or the Ray yet. The last ASICS super shoe I tested was the Sky Plus a few years ago, which didn't fit me very well. Yeah, so it's been a long time. So it's kind of like I'm missing out on what I'm missing out on. But the Ray looks particularly interesting to me.
The Ray's a little crazy. The Ray's a little crazy.
Yeah, but I want it. Yes, I want to. Yeah,
you can ask the internet on my behalf. It's a little crazy.
Yes, people will start saying prayers for my ankles soon.
we should give it a shout out. Please go watch the video with David running in the Ray and go read the comment section. It is.
Oh, it's good.
It's great.
Oh, it's one of the most fun experiences I've ever had on my feet, though. I will say that. I don't know if it'll be the racing shoe for me, but 5K and down, it probably could be. I just don't know if I could take it longer than 5K.
Yeah, but similar. So I think the Edge and the Sky are very interesting shoes, just in how lightweight they are, how many top runners run in them. So I would like to test them, hopefully ASICS. But also, same thing, what Nathan said, they've just got some very interesting trainers and super trainers rumored to be coming out. And it looks like they're innovating quite a bit. So I'm excited to get my hands on some of those.
Matt, why don't you round us out here?
Sweet. So I would say ASICS is kind of my top dog right now in terms of just, I know it's there. I know where they're going. It's like, okay, this is great. that's not as intriguing because I think after years of being consistently like your ASICs to all of a sudden like, oh, like you're like they keep hitting stuff out of the park on a very high level and been very impressed. Again, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of the shoe again since I've been made fun of enough, but that shoe has obviously done very, very well. As well as other things. I'm not going to I will. There are two that I'm very intrigued with. I will agree that Brooks is one that I'm very intrigued with because I feel like they have made a very big performance push very recently. So I'm really curious to see where they continue to go, especially like we did not test the Hyperion Elite 4 PB or the Hyperion Elite 4. So I don't know anything about that, but my initial experiences with the DNA Gold and then watching what they've done recently with a lot of their trainers, even the Ghost blew me away going, wow, the shoe is actually interesting after being like the classic neutral boring shoe for years has been like a, whoa, like what's going on? So I'm very curious to see where they go. I also need to give a shout out to Mizuno because I feel like they're the wild card.
Yeah, I was going to say that with Nate earlier, that the Neo series was the last time we saw a big shift in a company.
That's
not
true.
ASICs in 2020.
Yeah. I feel like Mizuno used to be the company that was consistent and there would never be any change. And now I just don't even know what's coming. I'm just like, it's exciting to see what comes from them. It doesn't necessarily, they don't always agree with my feet, but I'm just so curious to see what that team is doing. I want to give them credit for trying some crazy stuff and now being the unpredictable, not in a bad way, but the what's going to come next kind of thing. So I would say Brooks, Mizuno are the intriguing. ASICS is the solidly like high performing, like, wow, you guys people are doing
top of their
some
game.
cool stuff. Obviously a lot of other companies are doing really good as well, but those are the ones that come to mind.
Perfect. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for this conversation. And it's always fun to meet with all of you at one time. So thanks to Andrea, Matt, and David for creating space that we can do this and just get together. So if you, again, have thoughts about your favorite shoes or you have questions for us, you can reach out to us at doctorsofrunning@gmail.com, or you can comment below if you're on YouTube, and we'll talk to y'all later.